Dr. Walker and others to continue to look through these papers. Now, there are some questions that must be answered by Mrs. Miller. And the fact that she hung up on me on Saturday doesn't mean that I'm not going to call her again, because I do know how to dial a number, so I'll call her tomorrow. The next day, I'm going to talk to Mrs. Miller.
Not only going to call her as the state president of NAACP, we're going to call upon her and her superior to find out who is evaluating her as a principal.
All right, I noticed too in 1981, you had a young lady, a very beautiful young lady who was in that daycare center. And here I have all of the complaints, which are the same thing, written in the same way, and I'm talking about in a crude way on her, and she's been transferred. I'm trying to say, and I'm very sincere to my people today, because a black person will kill you as quickly as a white person. And if we are against killing people, if you don't believe it, go down to the street department. What did they do to Otis Abner? It was not a white supervisor that crucified Otis Abner. It was a black one. And then as we look at the Board of Education, it was not a white person that led the fight for the reorganization plan. It was a distinguished black minister who was black on the outside and I think white on the inside. So I would like to make an appeal, and I would like for everybody in Oklahoma City to join me in a special prayer for Pamela Farmer, who tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. will stand in front of a committee that will be given the trash that I have just read to you on radio. I want you to pray that justice will be done. Now, it's not easy for me to talk about to my co-workers in education, but one point I want to make. Once upon a time, there was a person named Clara Luper that was fired at Dungy School. And the patrons of that school did exactly what the patrons of Millwood Daycare Center. They wrote letters. And Cecil, when I think what would have happened if my firing had been upheld, I never would have had the opportunity to make a movie. I never would have had an opportunity to have taught in an integrated school. And I say to Mrs. Miller, you hung up on me yesterday, but you cannot hang up on justice, equality, liberty. And the fact that you are a principal of a school, it doesn't say that you have the power to destroy a person. I wonder what would happen if the teachers would evaluate you in the same way that you have evaluated Miss Farmer. And certainly as a radio reporter and as an educator, I would say that I will call you, Miss Miller, tomorrow. And Cecil, she's at Millwood Elementary School.
Do you have a home number?
No, I do not.
Well, I'll call it Millwood School. And I hope she hang up on me, because I have some little demonstration signs that I use for everybody. A bigot is a bigot, be he black or white.
Thank you so very kindly, Cecil, and thank you for being with me. And I know you would like to ask the public to be with us tomorrow.
Yes, I want everybody to be on 4th and Robinson at 9 a.m. at the federal court. You are retired, you out there who are free to love him, whatever color you are, race or creed, we need your support.
Cecil, when you talk to Mrs. Miller, you might have to ask to see her transcript and see what training she has had in child care, especially daycare, because I notice here Miss Pamela Farmer has done her homework in that area.
Yes, since I have my master's in human relations, I'd like to see where she graduated from and what type of training she had. We might have to do some evaluation.
Yes, this is the Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is certainly your show. Clara Luper reporting on KAEZ in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Thank you, Mr. State President. Thank you, Attorney Shaw, and I'll see you in court tomorrow. And I forgot to ask you, you will take black cases against blacks where blacks discriminate against blacks. Won't you, Attorney Shaw?
We take cases in which any black person is being denied his or her constitutional rights.
Thank you so very kindly. Oh, thank you, Cecil. What is a good teacher? The parents here, and I have some 25 letters from parents and grandparents of students that attend the Millwood Daycare Center. They say Miss Pamela Farmer is a great teacher. She's opened a world of understanding to our young people. And if I know anything about Dr. Leon Ed and that Board of Education, tomorrow they will say to the world, we are not terminating Miss Pamela Farmer. Rather, if she is weak in areas, we will do what people did for us. We will lift her up. Thank you, Dr. Ed. Thank you to the Board of Education in Millwood at Millwood School for supporting liberty, justice, and equality tomorrow. I would also like to invite Ms. Miller to come out and tell her side of the story if she wants you, her distinguished constituents, to hear her side of it. There must be two sides to every story. This time, Dr. Walker, I can finish my interview with you. I understand that Freedom Child is coming to Reno, Oklahoma. Tell me all about it.
Yes, Ms. Luper.
Millwood School tomorrow. Talk to Dr. Ed and let Dr. Ed know exactly how you feel about Miss Pamela Farmer. Because if she's doing a job for your child, even though her table might not come up to the specification of the principal because it has some clay on it where the kids have been playing with toys and clay, if she's teaching your children and open their minds, nothing else is important except the teaching of the children. And certainly I'm for respecting principals because I respected every principal that I've had. And in respecting principals, I feel in turn that the principals should certainly respect teachers. I don't want to see teachers walking and bowing down to teachers because in the Harriet Tubman story, when Harriet got the people to free territory, she told them, don't run and scrape and bow down every time you see someone that's in a leading position. Be yourself and be proud of what you have. And speaking of being proud, I am so proud of Sir Charles the Tailor. Sir Charles the Tailor is now having a spring sale, and I want you to go out to Sir Charles the Tailor. His telephone number is 733-7600, located in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Today has been a day that I'm working without my staff. Shelley went to the movies. She's been sick all the week, and I better tell you, I was hoping Letty would be here today because I wanted to tell you about that John Marshall High School track team. I also wanted to tell you about the history fair. John Marshall took first place in individual performance with the Honorable Deidre Jordan. Second place in the individual performance with Dana Valeroy. First place in the display individual projects with Kenitha Simon. Second place with a young man from Ethiopia, Fred Datis. In the group performance, first place went to Anita Lewis and Rudy Richmond. Second place went to the group that did the bleeding of President George Washington. And that group was headed by Charles Warren, Sheila Mays, Jennifer Davis, and James Vanek. I have with me another contestant in Miss Black, Oklahoma that just walked in. I'll just have a minute. Your name, please.
Teresa Edwards.
Teresa Edwards, why are you in Miss Black, Oklahoma City?
Well, because I've always wanted to be in something so I can show the world that I am somebody.
Oh, you're going to show the world, and you're going to show them on May what?
May 4th.
Where?
At the Kirkpatrick Center.
Now, do you think any of your friends will be there to see you and support you?
Yes.
Well, I would like to thank you for being my very distinguished guest. As I look at the clock on the wall, I know Clara Luper is going to have to say goodbye to you. And I always hate to say goodbye to you because you're so sweet. And we've been together through many rivers and through many mountains and through the tornadoes and storms of life. I really hate to say goodbye to you. Today, I have brought you the news. Oh, not the most popular news in town. I have only brought you to your attention some things that are happening in our city, and I will see you tomorrow morning in Judge Bohannon's court. And now, my final word will go to the principals in this city. Dear principals, the schools of our cities are not private sororities and fraternities. The schools are supported by the public. And the public has a right to ask questions. And I want all of you principals, and some of you are doing such a fantastic job. Some of you are understanding the problems that are facing young people. And to you, I would like to say thanks. And to those of you who are not, I'm going to say, look at the mote in your own eyes before you see it in someone else. And Clara Luper, and I would like to once again say to Mrs. Miller, you can hang the telephone up in my face, but you cannot escape justice, equality, and liberty. Clara Luper reporting, KAEZ Radio, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
The views expressed in the program just heard were